I mean, over the years of history, we've seen people have hated Indians, people have hated blacks, people have hated whites, people have hated Mexicans. But if there's one universal hate that's been towards one group, it's been teenagers. Every single time. And see, there are two types of teenagers. One type is the kind of silent type. They nicely sit down and study. And another type is a type like me. I talk, I do whatever I want, and everybody thinks I do drugs. It's natural. But the thing is, why do people assume that? Probably because I talk a lot. And this wasn't really the case. Let's take the clock back about 2 years ago. It was 7th grade, and we had a cultural week in our school. And it was debate day. Now, before that day, I was always such a quiet child. I only talk to a couple of people. I wasn't comfortable talking to people I didn't know. And then I still remember one of my closest friends I still call today, Yash. He told me, hey Kaushal, you should do the debate today. I'm like, nah man, I really don't want. Like, no, you're going to do it. And that day changed my life. So, the debate was a very political debate. And obviously as a 7th grader, you'd probably think, why would it be like that? But the thing is, in our school at least, they want you to, expand your horizons. And when I did the debate, afterwards, I got so much positive reception. I mean, it felt like there was also a new energy in my body. It felt amazing. The fact that, you're silent for so long, and once you start talking, people are like, hey, we actually like this man. Like, he's such a good speaker. That really lifts you up. And it lifts you in a way you can never imagine you could have been lifted before. But you see, being a loudmouth, it's not always the easiest thing. The thing is, it comes with pros and cons. The pros are, number one, I became so much more confident. Like every single day when I come up to speak, every single time I go on a stage to give a speech, I just remember, hey, it's like you're talking to someone else. And I'm so blessed to have that thing. Another thing is that I have mental strength. I mean, the thing is, I've seen people struggle to get up and talk in front of a whole crowd. And sometimes I think to myself, oh my God, I'm so lucky I'm not them. Because these guys, they want to speak. When they go to classes, do this, do that, and yet they're still the ones sitting down watching everybody else speak and not making their own message out. But obviously, as a speaker, your views become expanded. I mean, even now, a lot of views that I have, people would consider as very controversial. And as a teenager, of course, a lot of people would think, hey, he might not know what he's thinking. But at least the way I see it, I know what I say, and it's not up to me whether you understand or not. But, as a teenager, of course, we are pushed by different things, especially racism. Okay, now honestly, how many of you guys have experienced any form of racism? You think you've been singled out for knowing about anything. Somebody, you're driving and you cross, like, hey, Delhi wala, something like that. Anybody experienced racism here? Exactly. You must have. It's such a universal thing. Because people, once they see the skin of your color, they say, okay, he's a totally different person. They see your name, they'll assume so much. For instance, when I went to China with my family, this was airport check-in. Now, obviously, we as Indians, we make fun of the Chinese so much, right? I mean, let's be honest. Let us say, when you see those kung fu movies, all those chairs break, they don't break because the guy is strong. They break because the chairs are made in China. I mean, the point is, we make so many jokes about the Chinese. But when it comes and hit us, that's when we feel it hard. So it was Beijing. Now, it was an airport security check, or plane. Now, I remember I'd given him my passport, and he was just reading through. And I saw that he just said my name, and he started laughing. Now, obviously, for a couple of seconds there, I felt insulted. I mean, he's laughing at your name. He's laughing at your identity. But then at the same time, I realized, hey, but I'm no different. I mean, I remember going to so many places and hearing jokes like, these stand-up comedians, telling jokes like, hey, do you know how the Chinese get their name? The parents throw them down the stairs and whatever sounds they make, they name them that. I mean, it's not like we're any better. But yet, when reality comes and hits us, that's when we fall down the most. And that is something I've learned as a speaker. I mean, there have been thousands of times where I've argued with somebody. And half of my mind is like, no, you're not doing the right thing. Whereas another half is like, you've done the right thing today. I mean, I remember sharing with some of my friends over here. It was my school annual day show, and I'd just been kicked out of a play. Now, I worked on this play for days and days and days, and I felt that my work was being underappreciated. The reason they gave me was that, hey, this kid doesn't get a chance to perform, let him perform. So if you look at it one way, you'd be like, hey, I'm giving a kid a chance to perform. But then if you look at it another way, you're like, hey, this is my work, I worked hard for it, should I be giving him the chance to perform? And even today, sometimes when I think of what happened, I think about it good, I think bad. But here's what happened. So I went up to my class teacher, and I did probably one of the most cockiest things I've ever done. Just note, if this was a government school, I probably would have gone caned, as a lot of people call it, or beaten up. I went to my teacher, and I said, I don't know what you're going to do, but you're going to give me that role, and I'm not asking. So it was legit the most cockiest thing I'd ever done. And she was furious, nonetheless. And she took me to the principal. But then, the principal was actually on my side. Like, hey, you know what, give him the role. And another lesson I learned that day was that, you can have so many people bringing you down. Because I remember sitting alone and nobody was coming up. Because remember, I made this play with so many of my friends. And now they was nicely all in their own world and I was just sitting alone. But then the fact that just one person came to pick me up, that really changed my perception, That's why, just last month I was talking to a friend of mine, and I don't play in my community much like cricket and everything, but I did go down once. And he said, dude, where have you been? It's been so long. And it hurt me to know that he'd been suffering from depression. And this guy was just 15. I mean, adults think they have it the hard way, but just imagine, over studies you have depression. I mean, that hurts at the heart. And he said, you should have been there. You could have helped me out. And that pushed me. That hit me hard. The fact, and that's just something I see today. You don't realize it, but your voice can do so much more than just gossip, than just WhatsApp. It can do so much more. Because sometimes I think back, and if I was there, would he have been in the state he was now? Would he have been that bad? But you can never look back at the past. I think a learning of mine has been, in the 14 years of my life, is you make mistakes to make sure you don't make them again. So yeah, that's my time.